Today we are going to be going over how to brew a pour over on the Stagg X dripper. This is what we're planning to move to in our shops, and we want to make a companion video to go alongside with the other resources and training that you will get in order to do these well. We wanted to make a video so you have something you could go back to over and over again, because pour overs are great. They taste delicious. Coffee, I don't think, tastes better any other way, but they are a little bit fickle. So we want to get everyone trained up on these well and give you the resources that you need to become a brewing pro. So I'm really excited about this, and let's jump into it. First, starting with what do we really need to do this pour over well? So this is the number one thing that kind of derails most pour overs before they even start, is not having the proper equipment and setup, and the right things that you will need to measure. Are we doing a good pour over? So let's jump into that here real quick. What do we need to brew coffee on a Stagg X? First, we need the dripper itself. We sell these in the shops. These are great. Hopefully you can also kind of take your knowledge of this and use those to sell those on the retail shelves. Maybe you want to pick one up for your home. They're fantastic. The Stagg X, it comes with filters. It also has a cool little metal funnel that is kind of a complement to those filters. So it uses kind of its own style of filter, and it's very like ribbed. And the filter is going to do a great job, but it can get a little messy if you're not using that funnel to get the coffee in there. So it'll keep your filter nice and clean, and it will kind of set us up for success there. And it also has like a little drip tray. So when you're done, you're getting ready to serve that coffee, it's nice to have a spot to set that brewer, and it kind of all works in concert to make a nice little setup there. So what else do we need? This is a non-negotiable. You have to use the gooseneck kettle. In the shops, we have Stagg EKGs, which are really awesome kettles, very controllable and consistent pour. They also have the temperature control in them. So we can set our water temperature and make sure that we have a consistent brew temp, which is very important. In the off chance that the EKG is unavailable or down, if you need to use a different gooseneck kettle, that's fine, but you will need to grab a thermometer to double check your water temperature. We will also need to brew into a carafe. The ones on the retail shelves come with one. We will not use those in-house because it's really designed for a 10-ounce brew, and we want to do 12-ounce brews. So we will get milk pitchers, the same ones you use to steam milk in. The kind of medium 12-ounce size, and we will have some ones that are dedicated just for pour overs. So that's super easy, straightforward. We need a scale. There's no eyeballing when you do coffee professionally. So we will have everything broken down by weight, and that scale will also need a timer, whether it's in the scale or a standalone one, because the art to doing pour overs well is not an art, it is consistency. And we do that with weight, and we do that with time, and breaking it down into simple steps. So with all that, you're set to brew, and we'll jump into a video on how to do this, and I'm going to talk you through each step just to kind of demystify it. And as long as you follow these steps, you're going to end up with a good brew. And the kind of the trick to all this stuff is just the smaller the target you aim at. If you miss a little bit, it's not the end of the world. But we do want to kind of keep things within a certain tolerance range. So you have a recipe card that's pretty concise also, and practice makes perfect. So let's get into it. The first thing that we want to do is set our kettles to 204 degrees Fahrenheit. That's kind of at the top end of our brewing temperature range. And we want to do that because a pour over takes a while, and this will ensure that we stay in the proper temperature range. And this is also a good time to go ahead and preheat the cup that you're going to be serving this in. This prevents the cup from acting like a heat sink, and it will keep your coffee warmer a little bit longer. And then we are going to add our filter. So these brewers use a special kind of filter that is kind of their own proprietary design, and then we're going to go ahead and thoroughly rinse that filter. We want to get that kind of papery, pulpy taste out of the filter. And it seems like it's not important, but it is actually a really noticeable thing once you experience just how papery that water can taste. And then once it's done draining, we're going to go ahead and just discard that. And now we are ready to get our coffee ready here. So these come with a little stainless steel funnel, which is handy because we really don't want coffee grinds to fall on the back side of those ribs. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a lot of coffee grinds in your brew. So go ahead and add your 21 grams of coffee. And then when you're done with that, go ahead and kind of give it just a little tap there to kind of even out. We want a flat bed to be brewing into, and now we're ready to brew. So we're gonna first do the bloom here, and we're gonna add about 40 milliliters of water. You can just kind of add the water in, and then we're gonna let that water kind of activate some of the CO2 and the gases in there. And looking up at it really close here, we can kind of see just how bubbly that coffee can be, especially if it's really fresh. Those bubbles will kind of create unwanted turbulence in the brew. So that's kind of the purpose of this. And then when we add our water in, it'll kind of knock that cap down and stabilize everything. So our time is about up here, and we're going to go ahead and start our pours. And then we are going to do, it's a 7-3 split. So as you can see here, I'm doing 7 circles of agitation, and I'm kind of bringing it up about 3/4 of the way. There's kind of this beveled area on the brewer, and you want to bring your water line right up to there. And then we're just going to hold it right in the center. So on the recipe card, this is the center pour, and we want to keep it kind of stable. And we want to just kind of, once we get it to our level, we're matching that flow rate, and it should just kind of hold steady. And we want to keep this as clean as possible. We don't want to be all over the map on this. We want to hold it right there in the center, and I'm about 3 inches above the brewer here. So if you're on a tall counter, maybe you want to get a step stool, or we will find shorter counters to use, because it is a bit of an arm workout, weirdly enough, holding this for a couple minutes. And as you can see here, I'm a couple inches above it here. That's going to prevent too much of like a water jet from going down. You don't have to be crazy high up either, because you don't want your stream to be kind of breaking. You want just a nice, consistent, steady stream right in the center. And then here with the last 50 milliliters of water, I do 3 more circles of agitation. And we can see here, this should give you kind of a clue on like how quickly this should draw down. It shouldn't be flying through, but you don't want it just like sitting there either. This is going to be kind of in conjunction with time, how we can adjust if we need to change our grind at some point. And what we're looking for as this comes down is we don't want big pockets of grind stuck up there on the filter. We want it to kind of evenly draw down nicely. And ideally, we want as flat of a bed at the bottom as possible. That's going to show us that we had a nice center pour, and that we didn't favor one side of the other and didn't create any channels. And just like that, we are done. It takes about 2.5 minutes. That's including the bloom time. So there might be a little fluctuation there, but this is kind of a good target to kind of give us a heads up if we did, if our settings are right and if we're doing this well. And then we serve. Pretty straightforward. And yes, hopefully this is helpful. And once again, if you have questions, if you need a little bit of help, go ahead and just reach out to your manager or to me, and we will get you set up. Thanks.